Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, it is the last 48 hours in the NHL world has been crazy. Obviously, the trade deadline's tomorrow, but everyone, especially today, was acting like it was today. But Mike, how you doing this evening, man? We got a bit to get to, especially in terms of NHL stuff. But how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, man. Let's just hop right in because there's a lot to unpack for these NHL trades.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna get into all the big stuff today. I think next Tuesday's episode, after all the big trades that'll happen tomorrow as well, we'll just talk about all the big trades on Tuesday. But I'm gonna talk about more of the smaller ones. I'm gonna mention one big one here. Actually, I think I might mention two of the big ones that happened between yesterday and today. Um, and then we'll just get into some of the smaller ones, and then obviously Tuesday's episode we'll do all the other big ones that I didn't talk about today, and then all the ones that might happen tomorrow. We'll have to see. But one of the biggest ones yesterday afternoon, the Florida Panthers acquired Vladimir Tarasenko from the Ottawa Senators. The Senators are keeping 50% of that cap hit, so Florida can go out and try and buy a few more players if they need it tomorrow. Um, Ottawa got a conditional fourth round pick for 2024 and a 2025 third round pick. Um, the conditions on that fourth round pick is it upgrades to a 2026 third round pick if Florida wins the Stanley Cup this year. So, um, I think it's a big win for Florida. Senators fans were like, "There's no way we won't get a first for Tarasenko," and then they get absolutely fucking fleeced with a few mid round picks for him. This adds a lot of scoring depth for the Panthers without losing too much, top level draft capital. So very good on Florida, and also only having to pay half that cap hit. That's huge for Florida. So yeah, I think this is all around a win for Florida. Ottawa gets some picks out of it, but it's unlikely that those picks will really be superstars. I mean, it can happen. It's the NHL, right? I mean, Wayne Gretzky went undrafted and became the greatest player in the history of the game. So I mean, you never really know. But I think yeah, all around though, this is a really good pickup for Florida here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really heard much about Tarasenko since he was on the Blues. That's what I remember him the most. Was on St. Louis, but I mean, still seems like a solid player today. And from what you're saying, pretty good value trade for them. So yeah, Florida's making that push, man.
Yeah, they're making a nice push, and they are they're, they're they want this President's Trophy. I mean, last year they should have been a lot better than they were, and they lacked scoring depth all season long last year, and that's why they ended up only as a wild card team. This year they're back to performing how they should on paper. So yeah, I think adding Tarasenko, man, adds a huge level to Florida's offense. One that happened yesterday as well. Bowen Byram is getting sent to Buffalo from Colorado for this was just a player swap. Colorado got Casey Middlestat. I think this is a win-win all the way around. I mean, Buffalo, they have so many elite defensemen between Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin. They just have a lot of good defensemen. But that said, they pick up Bowen Byram, who will add some depth to that defensive core for them. But Buffalo, this was more interesting, I think, for Colorado picking up Middlestat here. He's a center, and they need some center depth on that team. He's really young. He's only 25 years old. So, yeah, I think this is really good. Um, for for Middlestat because he gets to go and play for a cup contending team now, and um, things are looking good for him. I mean, he's got 47 points in 62 games this year, so I mean that definitely is going to help Colorado um, going forward. So yeah, very nice trade here for them. Um, Another smaller trade here. The Rangers acquire Alexander Wenberg from Seattle for a 2024 second round pick and a conditional fourth round pick from 2025. The conditions on this, it's a condition from a previous trade. It's basically if Niels Lundqvist earns 55 cumulative points over the 2022, 2023, and 2023-2024 regular season, uh, the pick upgrades to Dallas's 2025 third round pick, and that's basically what they sold. They sold that pick that New York had. That was Dallas's originally to Seattle. So now Seattle. I mean, either way, they get a decent pick out of this. But they get a second round pick from New York, which is really big. And also Seattle. The only reason why they got as much as they did from New York is they are retaining half that salary. And and that's a theme really you're gonna see all trade deadline, and with what we're gonna talk about today too, Mike, is a lot of these teams that are at the top, of the league right now in terms of points are right up against the salary cap. So they're trying to add on, and they have to give up a lot more because they have to have these. There's a lot of three-team trades now because these teams are so close up to the cap that they need the as little money as they can retain on all these players. So you're going to see that a lot with these this year, especially because there's so many teams that are right up against it this year. But yeah, that's what you're going to see going forward is a lot of 50% retention from the team that's trading away players. So, Mike, so far on these other trades, you got any thoughts on these, or do you want me to just continue here?
You can just continue. I mean, yeah, a player swap. I mean, that's pretty common. Hopefully, it works out for both teams. And yeah, that salary cap though, it's a beast, man. I mean, not a lot you can do, but just trying to work around it.
Yeah, it's the only league that has a hard salary cap, and teams
Because the
gotta
NBA has
right. Like the NBA has a
NBA has
soft
a
cap,
luxury tax.
right?
They have a luxury tax where you pay a luxury if you go over the cap.
Right, and then obviously the MLB doesn't have a cap,
Yeah.
and then it's the same thing with the NFL. They kind of have a luxury tax as well. So the NHL, they're very strict on the cap, unless you're circumventing it like Las Vegas is. And yeah, I'm gonna save that whole trade that happened yesterday for Vegas acquiring a player. Um, so yeah, we're just gonna gonna skip over that one because it's huge, and like I said, I want to talk about all the big trades on Tuesday's episode, especially because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Um, there could be even bigger trades than this, but I honestly, the way the market's looking now with all these trades that have happened in the last 48 hours, might not be a few more big ones here. But anyways, the Coyotes got a 2027 fourth round pick from Edmonton for Troy Stetcher. Stetcher has not really had the greatest season this year. He's a very solid defenseman, but he's kind of fallen off over the past few years. Just kind of bouncing around team to team. Um, he's played 47 games this year and only has 5 points. For example, I mean, he back before he was in Detroit, he was really good in Vancouver, and yeah, ever since then he's just kind of fallen off the face of the earth. But yeah, just a small trade here. Arizona gets a fourth round pick for him, and Edmonton desperately needs defensemen, And once Hannafin was off the market, and like I said, I'll talk about that whole trade on Tuesday. Edmonton got desperate and made a move for Troy Stetcher, and I think this is a good pickup for them overall. Um, and then just one more I'm gonna get into here. Um, I'll get into two more here. Colorado got Brandon Duheim from Minnesota for a 2026 third round pick. Um, this was just a pick and player swap. Colorado desperately needs wing depth as well. I mean they need just depth in general on those third and fourth lines in terms of scoring. Duheim's gonna bring that for them, and honestly I think Colorado gave up too high of a pick for him, but that's just me. But it is way out in the future. It is a 2026, so yeah, it's very interesting at least. But Wild actually made out pretty good on that one. And then one last one I just wanted to get into. Blackhawks got a fifth round pick for Anthony Beauvillier, now playing for Nashville. Nashville has been really, really hot as of late. They kind of started off the season pretty slow. People were kind of questioning, are they even going to make the playoffs? And now they're getting close to a top three spot in the Central Division. Beauvillier is going to add some pretty good scoring depth onto that third line for Nashville, who's one of actually the worst scoring third lines in the league. So yeah, I mean, pretty much all Nashville's production is coming from their first and second line. So adding a guy like Anthony Beauvillier, who has playoff experience here, really, really good. And Blackhawks, I mean, they kind of got fleeced, if I'm being honest here. Got only a fifth round pick for him this year, man. That's, yeah, I think they got a little fleeced here. So,
Yeah, these are definitely smaller end trades, so not really much for me to add here for those ones. But yeah, they're definitely making moves. It's better to do something at least.
yeah, exactly. There's, no, there was actually just a trade confirmed like an hour before we started recording. And I'll get into that one on Monday because that one's pretty big between Carolina and Pittsburgh. But yeah, no, not a whole lot of huge trades. Also today though, the waiver wire is gonna be going crazy today and tomorrow. A lot of players gonna be getting waived. I mean today there was I think like 30 some odd players that got waived by their teams today. So yeah, it's only gonna get worse come tomorrow too. But I'm just really hoping Detroit waives Justin Hall so we can actually bring up Simon Edvidson from Grand Rapids because we desperately need the help on defense. And Hall's just sitting, being a healthy scratch every single night, taking up a roster spot. But we signed him to terms, yeah. Anyways, Mike, we're gonna switch over sports now. We got NBA power rankings. Let's get it, man.
So now here, yeah, the NBA power rankings, man. We're a few weeks removed from the All-Star game, so lots have changed since then. But let's get into it. Of course, here I'm going to be doing the top 10 from NBA.com and going through. So starting here at number 10, we have the Sacramento Kings. Kind of shocking. They're 14th in offensive rating, 21st in defensive rating. The Kings, those numbers don't look that strong, but they do have two of the better players out west, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, man. I just read an article talking about Sabonis being 9-0 against AD in his career, so that's a huge edge right there. But they are still, I don't think they're even top 6 in the conference. I think they're in the play-in right now, so they definitely need to step it up. And I do think 10 might be a little high right now, but they definitely have a promising team moving forward. Number 9 is the Dallas Mavericks, 7th in offense, 22nd on defense. Yeah, this team just they don't play no defense, man. I mean, no one plays defense nowadays, but this team legit has no defense. It seems like, um, they got one of the best offensive players, if not the best offensive player in the league, and Luka Doncic and Kyrie are both crazy. I think that they're super deadly in the fact that if they go up against anyone in the playoffs, they have a chance just because they have two elite scorers. But that defense is just going to be tough. Whoever they match up with, they're basically just going to be relying on their rim protection defense because that perimeter defense is non-existent. Number 8, a team that's been hot recently, the Miami Heat. 21st in offensive rating and 8th in defensive rating. This is, like I said, around the time playoffs are coming up soon. The Heat are getting hot, man. Looking at the Heat team, man, Jimmy Butler's coming back. And they just got a lot of really good players, man. They're really deep in every position, it seems like. They have probably one of the most underrated roster depths in the league. They're deep in every position. Jimmy Butler's a star. Bam Adebayo is a great second option. Again, they could really make some noise in the playoffs like they always do. Number 7 here, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe this power ranking is before they did beat Boston, who we'll get to, but they actually were down 20 points to Boston this week, and they ended up coming back and winning that game. So that was very cool to see them because they're second right now, second or third, I believe, in the Eastern Conference. 15th offensive rating, third on defense. Again, it's been their whole season. Their defense, especially around the rim, has been super solid. Donovan Mitchell's been really holding this offense together, even though he's been dealing with injuries, it seems like, a lot of this year. Again, another team like Miami that's just super deep in a lot of different positions. They're a younger team, so definitely have to worry about that come time for some pressure situations. But I think that they have a super solid team and definitely deserve a top 10 spot here. Number 6, one of the hottest teams. I know I keep saying that with some of these teams, but I think the hottest team over the last week and a half, 2 weeks is the Milwaukee Bucks. 4th on offense and 15th on defense. I mean, I'm pretty sure they are undefeated since the All-Star break. They have been just on fire. They started out really rough with Doc Rivers. They were 3-7 in their first 10 games with him as head coach. Then now they've sort of bounced back, and maybe now they're finally finding what's working for their team because, yeah, they're going to need it, man, because they are a top title contender and they have the roster to do it. Just, again, the concerns with Doc Rivers always choking in the playoffs and making bad coaching decisions. And this is their third coach this season. It's just lots of unknowns, but right now they are one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in basketball. Number 5 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. 18th on offense, number 1 on defense, but big news came out today that one of their star players, Karl Anthony Towns, is going to be out with a torn meniscus. It just said he was out indefinitely. I'm not sure if he'll be back come playoff time. I would assume he's going to be out at least all the rest of the regular season, if not all of the, or if not like most of the regular season. There's only like 20, 25 games left, so not even worth bringing him back, to be honest with you. And this is where I think now that the Thunder are really going to take advantage of getting that number 1 seed, because Minnesota and the Thunder were kind of battling, but now Minnesota's lost, I would say, their second best player, and they've still been solid. I mean, I think that they can definitely still win a lot of games, but yeah, I feel like I was talking with someone about this, and we were like, man, the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be are going to be like an 8 seed or a 7 seed, and if they draw Minnesota in the first round as like the 1 or the 2 seed, man, I think they could easily upset them in the playoffs. Just Minnesota doesn't really have a team that really scares you to face. Just not one of those teams.
I kind of agree because I the Timberwolves, yeah, they're not one of those like super dangerous teams, and come playoff time, I mean it's the playoffs. Anything could really happen, and if there's one team in the NBA that could get upset in the first round of the playoffs, I think it's the Timberwolves, man. I really do.
I do too, man. I mean, there's definitely teams that are more vulnerable to choke, but um, like we'll get into with a couple of these other teams. But yeah, I think that they're one of the most susceptible teams to get. Like, if you were to do your playoff bracket, I think that there's going to be a lot of people, especially if they match up with the Lakers and LeBron and or the Warriors with Curry, that a lot of people are going to be picking them as underdogs to beat the Timberwolves just because the Warriors and Lakers have been there so much. They have so much experience. Like, are you really going to bet against LeBron? Are you really going to take Anthony Edwards and that Timberwolves team over LeBron? I feel like so many people are going to bet with LeBron. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Just speculation right now, of course.
Betting against LeBron's like betting against Mahomes, man. It's just
Yeah,
it's
or
never
Brady,
gonna
yeah.
right. Or betting against Brady, it's not gonna work
Just
out
don't
for you,
do it.
bro. Just don't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, just avoid that, man. Never bet against someone who's been just so consistent for so long at overcoming any odds thrown at them. But yeah, number four, the LA Clippers, fifth on offense, 12th on defense. Um, they talked about in this article here that they did have a brutal collapse against the Lakers in the Clippers Lakers game where LeBron had a crazy fourth quarter, probably one of the best fourth quarter performances this season for sure. But they've kind of gotten back on track. That offense, like I said, number 5 and number 12, still respectable, above average defense. Um, they got a lot of really good veterans. If they can stay healthy, and they can be a real threat in the playoffs too. Um, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Harden, Westbrook. So they have they definitely have a solid group there. Number 3 is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, third on offense, fourth on defense. Um, yeah, the Thunder are just they remain the second team in the top 5 on both offense and defense. They do it all. They're like Boston, where they're top 5 in both those categories. I think that those two are just so well balanced on both ends of the floor. Um, Shea, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander should be MVP. Man, this guy is leading the number 1 seed Thunder right now. He's putting up 30 points every night. He's leading the league in steals as well. So he's playing both ends of the floor. He's facilitating. He's doing it all, man. I know that a lot of people love Jokic, and I know that Denver's left as well. So we'll get into them. But my personal pick, man, I think Shea has earned it this year, man. He has taken this Thunder team to new levels, man. They have not reached heights like this. Like, they weren't even in the playoffs last year. Now they're the number 1 seed out west. So they've definitely exceeded expectations this season.
They are really good this year. Like I said last week when we were doing these power rankings, man. I mean, could I could almost guarantee you that they're gonna win that number 1 seed in the West, man, because they're just so good. And I agree, Shea should definitely win MVP. I mean, he is very productive on both ends of the floor. So I mean, if you're doing that in a league that doesn't play a lot of defense or any defense at all, you should automatically be having a high level bid at least for the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting up 30, usually like 6 to 7 assists and 3 steals every game, man. And they're winning games too. So it's not like empty stats like, say, example, like Wembanyama, he's putting up some crazy lines, but the Spurs are not winning games, so it's kind of tough to judge. Like, is he putting up empty stats? Is it really translating on the court? Um, yeah, so Shea has been great, but number two here we have the Denver Nuggets, eighth on offense, ninth on defense. Another team that's been really hot since the All Star break. They have one of the better records since then, and of course Jokic. I mean, I know I mentioned Shea, and I do think that Shea has, uh, in my opinion, been just a little bit better. I mean, Jokic has also been so good, and he's actually the favorite right now to win MVP. Nikola Jokic from the Nuggets would be his third MVP, which, I mean, that is such a rare class to be in. Players to win three MVPs. I mean, definitely less than 10 players for sure. It would be all time status right there to do something like that. But the Nuggets, I mean, they're still pretty dang good. I mean, they're basically maybe a little bit worse than last year, but I mean, this team is still super solid, both in the top 10 in offense and defense. They got arguably the best player in basketball. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon have all really done well over these last month or so of games. So, Denver has been solid. But
You
of course,
you
number
know
one,
what's crazy about Jokic, man, is he treats
yeah,
the NBA like it's a
like
hobby,
it's not. Yeah,
not even a an actual job like everyone else. He treats it like it's a fucking hobby, and he's on the verge of winning his third MVP title. And I mean, he can obviously make a case. I mean, obviously he's one of the best, if not the best player in the sport right now. But I just find that hilarious how he
yeah,
treats the sport
yeah,
like it's a fucking
yeah.
hobby, because all
Yeah,
all
he
all
does not care.
he doesn't give a fuck, and that's what I find so great about him is he doesn't care, and he only cares about his horses in Serbia. So I mean, like, it's just fucking hilarious to me that he's this good, but. Imagine if he actually cared. Imagine how scary good he would be if he cared.
Dog, I don't even know how I mean he's already so good and it's so weird watching him play, man, because if you ever see him shoot the ball or just run with the ball, bro, he's just looks so weird, man. He looks like he's just so awkward. Like he shoots it, throws it way up behind his head. He's very, I would say very unconventional type. He's not super smooth jump shot like Jordan or something like that. He's very awkward with his mechanics, but it works, man. The ball goes in the hoop, man. He scores, he facilitates, he rebounds, he does it all. I mean, he's not the greatest defender, but he can definitely hold his own.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Mechanically, yeah, he does look fucking awkward as shit, man.
yeah, if
But
you watch a Jokic compilation, I mean, he's just weird, man. But I mean,
he's got them long ass arms though, so maybe that's part of why his mechanics are so fucking weird.
for real, I mean, just whatever works though. I mean, it doesn't have to look pretty as long as it goes in. I
Right,
mean,
that's all that really matters.
right?
You can have the
I mean,
ugliest
it goes
form in the world
sometimes. Yeah,
as long
as
as
long
you're
as it
putting
goes
it
in.
in. You're like, who cares how stupid you might look?
Yeah, exactly. But number one, they've been number one. I think every week except for one. I think 1 week they had the Clippers at number one, and it's the Boston Celtics. Number one on offense, number two on defense. They almost got that perfect rating right there. And now with the Timberwolves losing Cat, they might even take over that number one defense as well. But Boston has so much pressure on them right now. So it shows the records 48-12. They actually are 48-13 because that was they lost to the Cavaliers. They blew that game, so maybe that was a sign that they need to quit coasting because it feels like they've just been coasting. I mean, they had a game against the Warriors recently where they won by 50 points. They were up by 35 at half, just destroying. They've just been destroying teams, but again, it don't really matter. You can go, 65, 70 wins in the regular season, but if you choke in the playoffs again to the Miami Heat or anyone for that matter, if they don't make, I mean, I would say NBA Finals is like where they got to be, man. If they don't reach the finals, that's going to be a disappointing season for them. When you're basically the number one offense and number one defense, I mean, expectations are uh, the highest they've ever been. And Tatum has been great. I do think that on an individual level, Jokic and Shea and even like Giannis or Luka has been better, but he's leading the number one team in basketball. They have such a great roster, probably the deepest roster in basketball as well. What do you think Boston's gonna do, man?
Well, part of me thinks they're gonna choke just because that's what they are known for doing over the last few years. But I mean, I agree. Like I think at bare minimum they need to make the finals this year. And if they don't, the season's a failure.
Yeah.
This team is so deep, they strangle you on defense, despite I mean really not playing any defense, but compared to even average defenses in the league, they strangle the shit out of you. And then offensively, I mean they can get up a 30-35 point lead. So I mean honestly, if they cannot make the finals this year, it's a failure of a season. Not necessarily win the finals, but if they at least
Yeah.
don't make it to the finals, the season's a
Hmm.
total fucking failure.
Yeah, it is. Especially like I would even like I said, I was gonna say conference finals, but no, man, they've made tons of conference finals. Like, and back like 6, 7 years ago, they were making it every year. They made it like I think 3 or 4 years in a row to conference finals, but they kept losing to LeBron every year, and that was the stretch when LeBron kept going to the finals. So, I mean, same thing here. They made the finals in 2022, but they lost to the Warriors in the championship. Uh, Again, high expectations last year, lost in. I don't even know if they yeah, so they were in the championship last year. It was them and the Heat, I believe, in the conference championship. But again, you got to make it to the finals with the expectations they have.
No, I mean it'll be a massive failure to get knocked out in the first round. Hell, even the second round of the playoffs, and even getting knocked out at the conference finals. I think you're not gonna be happy with that season, especially if you're a Celtics fan, because this team is just that good. It's just can they get over the hump and finally win a championship? That's the main question that we're all asking is can they get over that hump?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head right there, man. Just they gotta show out, man. They gotta prove that they are the best team in basketball.
That said, everything else with the list I kind of like. I mean, the Heat are heating up, but on that one. But yeah, no, I mean I think, was it last night they beat the Pistons or 2 nights ago? I can't remember now exactly.
Yeah, I think it was a couple
Um,
nights ago.
but yeah, they beat the Pistons, and I mean, I think the Pistons were up in that game and then ended up getting, or no, they were close at least, and then ended up getting blown out at the end of the game because that's just how the Heat kind of play. Is they'll just kind of mess around for the first 3.5 quarters, and then yeah, kind of just run away with it, and that's what they've been doing over the last week and a half now. So but yeah, I like these rankings, man. Like I said though, Celtics they have to win. They have to at least make it to the NBA Finals this year if they want to have a if they want to call the season successful. Um, and then if they win the championship, of course they finally end up actually getting over that hump that we talked about. So back to the NHL now. We're gonna do the NHL power rankings, and I'm gonna do them from actually the hockeynews.com this week, mostly because the NHL put theirs out. I didn't have time to compile my own like I want to this week. But the NHL.com's column for it this week, well, actually that came out today. Um, it's nothing that they're saying is talking about how the team's actually played over the last week. So that's why I found a different source for this week, just because there's nothing. It's all just talking about trade deadline stuff about each team, and that's about it. So a bunch of useless garbage for me to talk about there. So that's why I went over here. So credit to these guys for actually talking about things that actually matter that aren't the trade deadline. So anyway, so here at number 10, they have the Boston Bruins. They're 36, 13, and 15. Um, they have they're ranked number 17 in goals for percentage. So lately they've been kind of going downhill. They were really good to start the season, but over the last month for them, they're 5-4-6, which is really not good at all. With a -8 goal differential, they're kind of coming back down to earth from where they were last season. Um, but even just to start the season, they start off the season so hot, but they've dropped recently, and the last month for them now has been pretty poor. Um, the Toronto Maple Leafs are at number 9 on this ranking. They're 35, 18, and 8. They're at a plus 31 goal differential, and they're ranked 14th in goals for percentage. Um, this is it's interesting. Toronto, they should on paper be a lot better than they are this year. They just haven't had the defensive depth this year, and they're trying to make some moves for that they've been trying to make some moves to help with that this week, which is good for them. It's looking very likely like it's gonna be a Boston versus Toronto in the first round again. So that meme is coming back very strong. Um, so yeah, Toronto, they're sitting ninth on this list, and I like that spot. They haven't been playing the greatest lately, but they're also not doing all too terrible. Um, Number 8 here, they have the Dallas Stars. They're 38, 17, and 9, plus 36 goal differential on the year. Um, they are one of the best teams offensively over the last month. Um, they're on a win streak right now. And Yeah, they've just been one of the best teams lately. They need some help in a couple spots, but not anything to the point where they should really give up anything. Honestly, if I'm Dallas, I could stand firm where I'm at, despite the few small trades that they made today. But yeah, no, Dallas looking really good. Although they did look shaky against the Sharks, having to go to a shootout with them to end up actually winning. Um, Outside of that, though, man, Dallas has been really good. Number 7 here, they have the Carolina Hurricanes. They have a plus 29 goal differential on the year, the 36, 19, and 6. Um, the Canes have been really good since the new year. They are they're one of the best teams offensively. They're third, tied with the Wings in points percentage since the new year as well. Just really good. Although they did blow a 3-0 lead to the Jets earlier this past week, so that kind of sucks. But the Jets are a really good team too. But like I said, Carolina's just rolling. They need some help defensively, and I think they're gonna get some of that help tomorrow. Number 6 here, they have the Vancouver Canucks. Since the All-Star break, the Canucks have not looked as good as they were before it. Just scoring-wise, they haven't been very productive. They're sitting 40, 17, and 7 now. They're plus 49 on the year still in terms of goal differential. But a lot of that was stacked up from the early part of the season, especially. I think the first game of the season they scored 10 goals, so that's ridiculous. They went. They finally after the All-Star break they finally won. It took them 7 games to do this, but they won a game in regulation. Um, you know, they had either lost in overtime, won in overtime, or lost in regulation in the 7 games since the All Star break. So I mean, um, yeah, just out of nowhere, man, this team has just stopped producing. But I still think they are one of the better teams in the West, if not still the best team in the West. So yeah, they've fallen off for sure. That's unfortunate for them, but it is what it is. Number 5 here, they have the Winnipeg Jets. They're 39, 17, and 5. They have a plus 42 goal differential. Um, they are 9-3 and 0 since they had a losing streak to start the new year. Um, and one interesting thing, they have in that stretch of going 9-3 and 0, they've held their opponents to 2 goals or less in 5 of those games. Um, they have been really, really strong defensively. Connor Hellebuck, um, if he doesn't win the Vezina, I don't know what the fuck these people are looking at that vote for it. But I mean, he is having an absolutely outstanding year in net for Winnipeg, and he is part of the big reason this Jets team is where they are in the standings, because they are just that good because of him. So, yeah, he's having an absolute career year. Um, so, yeah, very good season so far for the Jets, and they're just going to continue to get better because they did just pick up Sean Monahan. So, yeah, that's going to help them a lot. Number 4 here, they have the Colorado Avalanche. 38, 20, and 5, a plus 38 goal differential on the year. It just absolutely butt fucked Detroit last night, 7-2. After being tied going into the second period with Detroit, they just absolutely took off. Although Detroit did win the game in Detroit a few weeks prior to this one, but the Avs are really hot right now. They just shut out the Hawks very recently, 5-0. Actually, they did that twice. So in the last couple weeks, so they are really hot. Um, they're getting solid goaltending, but I think they need to find another backup still. I talked about this last week. They need backup goalie because they have no one back there. So outside of that, Colorado's been looking really good. So number 3 here, they have the Edmonton Oilers. They're 38, 20, and 2, plus 41 goal differential on the year, and it's crazy to think that they were like a minus 15, I think, before they fired their coach, and to be all the way up to a plus 41 already, surpassing a team that's always had a winning record like Colorado in that stat, just goes to show you how this turnaround for Edmonton has really helped them. And look, they've been adding players over the last couple days, but there's one thing that's keeping Edmonton, or that's making Edmonton this good, and it's just a unstoppable duo between Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Enough said about that. I know you're a huge McDavid
Mm-hmm.
fan, but yeah, no, it's like they're just unstoppable together. Those two, man, they are just that good. Um, Number 2 here, they have the New York Rangers. Um, they were on I think it was up to an 11 point win or 11 game win streak. It might have died at 10 instead. I'm not sure. Before a 4-2 loss to the Panthers. But New York, they're 40, 18, and 4 with a plus 34 goal differential. They were extremely hot. But all the talk over the last week has been about Matt Rempe. They pulled him up from their minor league team, and he had more penalty minutes than he did time on ice within his first like 5 games. Um, which is ridiculous because all he does is fight. I mean, if you look up pictures of him at practice, like even like today or yesterday, I mean, his face is all black and blue and bruised up. Like he's just out there to fucking fight people. That is his only role on the Rangers. People are loving it. I'm loving it because I mean, hockey. I mean, fighting belongs in hockey. There's obviously people saying, "Oh, this is ridiculous. No one this young should be looking like that playing a professional sport." But it's like, this is what the sport is. He is completely embodied that goon role, and yeah, no, the Rangers needed some sandpaper like him on their team, and boy, are they ever getting it. But that's crazy, isn't it? He had more penalty minutes than he did time on the ice in his first few games, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah, I've been seeing that guy all over social media. It's like every couple of days he's getting into a fight.
I think he's been in a fight in every single game he's played, which is insane. But yeah, I mean, he is the definition of goon right now, and I fucking love it. As much as I hate the Rangers, man, I love this kid, man. He is fucking awesome. And then lastly here, the hottest team in the league right now. Despite not going on massive win streaks, they're losing really close games against really good teams when they do lose. It's the Florida Panthers. They're 43-16-4, best record in the league, 61 goal differential, which is way higher than anyone else in the league. Um, they're getting production from all four lines. Bobrovsky has been elite. He hasn't been Connor Hellebuck elite, but he is damn near been there. They just shut out the Red Wings last Saturday. So yeah, man, they are really really hot. They've had 3 separate win streaks of at least 6 games this season. They're currently on one right now. Um, and yeah, man, they're just ridiculously hot. They're productive on both ends of the ice. Kachuk is a menace. Barkov, I don't know if you saw it. I'll have to send you the video if you haven't. Had an insane assist the other night. I think it was Tuesday night, where he basically took the puck, lifted it off the ice, bounced it off his stick a couple times while it was in the air, and then kind of dove and swatted the puck towards the net. I forget who scored the goal, but swatted it to his line mate, and they just put it right in. And it was like one of the best assists I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but if you haven't,
Yeah.
okay, you did see it.
Yep,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
that might be not only assist of the year, but maybe assist of the decade right there. That's how good it is. But yeah, no, Florida, man, they are ridiculous this year, and I think they are a very very heavy Cup favorite. But you never know. The President's Trophy curse could strike them down this year, like it has in pretty much every single year. I mean, obviously, there's a few years here or there that the President's Trophy winner actually did win a cup, but most of the time you actually see that winner get knocked out in the first round. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, man, they are ridiculously hot, and adding Tarasenko, man, oh boy, um, yeah, that'll be interesting for sure. But anyways, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for us. Tuesday's episode, we are gonna hit everything that happens tomorrow. We're gonna talk about all the big trades that happened between yesterday and today as well. Um, but yeah, trade deadlines at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Tuesday's episode, like I said, we will cover all the big stuff. We probably won't get into a whole lot of the fluff, the smaller trades, but all the big ones, we'll definitely hit those. So yeah, anyways, guys, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know, what you want to see from us. Um, we're getting close to NFL free agency, so we're gonna definitely be hitting on that. Um, college basketball. We have the tournament starting. Is it next week, Mike? Do you know?
Um, I think it's 2, maybe even 3 weeks out.
Okay, so yeah, either way, we'll definitely get into college hoops more. I know the conference tournaments are happening right around now, so yeah, a lot of stuff that we're gonna be talking about over the next few weeks. Opening day for baseball is right around the corner as well, so very exciting time for sports yet again. Um, so, yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.